were learning we would either learn all subjects in English in that day, and then the next day we just learn all subjects in Spanish for that day, and it would alternate day after day, and we'd always be doing that. I did that my entire elementary and I believe 6th grade. And so we would also have to stop every time just to make sure they would understand, or the teacher would take time to let all of us work, and then she'd go to them and like help them out. And she wouldn't really come to us if we were already been there for a long time, because of the fact that she believed that we understood and we knew what to do. And if we were a little confused, we would have to like come up to her, but she wouldn't like completely explain to us all at the same time and like help us out when we needed the help, while some of the kids who spoke Spanish like would actually have her explain it.
I think that sometimes teachers have preconceived ideas of who you're going to be and how you're going to act in their class when you first walk in on the first day of school. But that's why I said before that attitude changes. Like attitude, the only separation is attitude, because when you prove to them who you really are, they'll treat you how you deserve to be treated.
Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate real quick, because you guys, you're saying that the only thing that really has separation is attitude, right? But yet, it's about what, 14 of you guys on the panel? At least 6 of you, I've heard, said, I'm not black because, right? Because I'm too smart and into my books, or because I don't sag my pants and I'm not swaggerific, as some kids would say, or because I have different colors in my hair, or I'm an Oreo. Each of you said some different variation of I'm not black because. Now, my question is to you, because you all have had the feeling of not feeling black, and in a SUNY race class or a black experience class, or just even in real life experiences, do you find yourself guilty of judging someone of your color as not being black or being too black? Because you might be judged as being, yeah, your skin is black, but you're not black enough. But then you may look at one of your peers who, yeah, they sag their pants and they speak in this Ebonic language where you struggle to even understand what they're saying. But do you yourself find yourself judging them instead of helping them? Because that will also affect how the race as a whole like evolves and makes progress. Not just the educated and more well-rounded academics of black students, but for you to lend a helping hand. Do you yourself, can you remember a time where you helped your fellow peer who may have been too black and fulfilled every stereotype to educate them and take that time, because it takes teamwork to make the dream work, okay? So you yourself as an individual can't say, all right, I'm black and I'm well-rounded and I'm bright and I get good grades, but do you take the time and the energy to help your peers? It's just a question that I just wanted to know. Yeah, I'd love to hear the answers.
I do it all the time. I'm guilty of judging people before I actually know them, and I would look at them and I'd be like, oh, she's ratchet or something like that, and honestly. But that's something that I'm trying to stop, because I don't know these people, and you can't judge somebody before you know them. And that if somebody did ask me for help, like academic, I would be more than happy to help them. I mean, there's a new program that they started called Latino U, where we're helping like people who basically only speak Spanish or in the dual language program. We're helping them with their math subjects or their science. And I'm more than happy to help them because they asked for help. So if anybody who is labeled as like the typical black person or is ghetto or something, I would be more than happy to help them if they asked for it.
I totally agree. I do judge myself. Like sometimes I'll sit there and be like, I don't know about this person. I'm not sure. But if sometimes there really isn't like there's not a straightforward I need help type of thing. It's again like trained a certain way to behave and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily like to call people out on things, so I'll kind of low key tell them like, oh, you shouldn't, don't speak in, like don't call out in class. I'll say, I think you should wait your turn or something. I don't know how to give an example, but for example, towards the other black students in school, like towards like, oh, they're too ghetto, or they're like that's too black or whatever. I won't say it. I might think it, but I won't say it. Like for example, the other day, I think there was it was early dismissal. It was an early dismissal, and one of the students was sagging his pants particularly low enough that I could tell what color and size his boxers were. So one of my friends, he said, oh, I hate when black boys sag their pants like that. It makes us look bad. And I said, I totally agree. And I guess we were loud enough that he pulled his pants up fairly high, that it looked like it might hurt. But it was like, I think sometimes when you say it like that and they hear that what people are saying, like you're not trying to say it offensively, but you're trying to say it in a kind of a joking manner that they might actually listen. And it's not, oh, do this. It's just like you say it, like you slide it across the table like, hey, you should do it this way, not the other way.
I used to dislike any black students that acted out in any way, but I started college this year, and my freshmen basically all the freshmen have to pick a topic and write about it. So I decided to write about how curriculum affects black students' behavior, and I've come to realize that a lot of the times students act out because no one listens to them any other time. And basically through my research I found the less students have a voice in their school system, or the less they're represented in the curriculum, the more likely they are to act out and get suspended from school or talk back to the teacher. And I don't think it's not to I'm not disagreeing with you. I do think teachers judge you. I do think it's attitude based, but at the same time, our attitudes are a product of the way people treat us. So if a student does have a bad attitude, we should look at why they have a bad attitude instead of assuming that they're a bad person because of that, which is what I used to do a lot when I went here. I used to judge people because they spoke out when I didn't. But a lot of the times they were saying things I wanted to say, but I was taught not to say them, so I thought they were wrong for saying them in the first place.
A lot of times, most of my friend group is Caucasian, and a lot of times I find myself in situations where people of color think that I'm that because I hang out with because I'm friends with a lot of Caucasian people, that they don't think I'm actually black, and that they don't really think that I'll fit in with them, and that kind of makes me look at them and be like, oh, that kid is, well, not gonna say it. That kid's sagging his pants. He's so that's so not, don't know how to say it. He's a delinquent, not I don't know how to describe it, but because people think that I'm not black enough for them, that makes me think that they're too black, or not too black, but their attitudes against me cause me to think things like that for them.
So one of my favorite television shows right now, which I think is very well written, is Blackish. So with that in mind, with everything that we're talking about now, for those of you who are black, who are not black enough, do you ever feel like you're pitted against those students who act too black? Are you ever compared to them? Are you ever made to feel inferior or superior? And how do you feel about that?
I've been in situations where people that aren't black, like they'll see a group of like, with people that are acting like too black, and they'll try and put me against them, thinking that like I'm their servant, something like that. But then I'll say, why would you do that? Like, what do you think you thought I was gonna attack them? Why would you say that? And they're confused, and like I don't know how to say it, like the two black people are confused because they both thought I was gonna attack and defend them because I like school and I don't sag my pants. So it's kind of
like you have these kids. I mean, I'm not gonna act like, because I used to be like ratchet. I want to say not like fully to the point where I'd be like I have no home training. Like I have, you know, But when
I have to interject for a second. For our members in the audience who don't know what the term ratchet means, ratchet is a new terminology for what we used to say ghetto or no home training, or you know, that type. So please go ahead.
I apologize. I forgot. Okay. Yeah, you have kids nowadays, like especially like okay, not freshmen, because some freshmen are very, very mature, but you have some kids that come recently and they'll act like they're really, you know, ratchet. And I'll be in the lunchroom and I'll see them, and I actually am the one to be like, guys, act like you guys have some sense. I speak up. I'm a very outspoken person, and that's why people hate me or like me, because I'll just be like, guys, you know, people are looking at you guys crazy, and then they think that we are all the same, you know, like we gotta act like we have some respect and act like we have home training, because I'm pretty sure if your parents was here, you know, whatever, and then they'll like, hey, some of them will be looking at me like, oh, why is she saying that? She's black too, you the same way. No, we're not all you know, we're all the same, but we can all act, I don't know, but I tell them, like, when people see me, oh, that's your friends over there, right? And I'm just like, why would you say that? Just because they're like that doesn't mean I'm the same way. Like, the only time you ever catch me being loud is if someone is being highly disrespectful to me. But that's the only time. Like, I want to be like them, I guess, if you want to put them in that category.
I also found that even if like I'm not if I'm not with other people that are too black, people try and pit me against them, like the ideals that they have. Like they'll talk with people that are too black, and I'll say, why do you think you can say that around me? Why would you think I'm not going to speak up and defend them? Like, oh, it's okay, you're one of the good ones, or like you're one of the white black people. And then when I say something to them, they get offended or confused because they thought like they think that I'm just going to be quiet and like allow them to step over my culture.
Hi, I just have a quick general question. Given everything that I've heard tonight and the experiences that I've had with my children growing up in the OSSINING district, my question, I guess, would be, because I've just seen how growing up, I went to OSSINING schools myself, and I see that it's a different dynamic between the peer groups now, given social media, and that, like we were saying before, the curriculum sometimes doesn't always give you the facts, or they give you the fun facts. And a lot of times the kids have their hands on more information now than they used to in the past. It's more readily accessible is what I should say. My question is, do you think that if the curriculum tried to be a bit more blunt with what's going on in the world in general, in incorporating your culture a little more as they do other cultures into the curriculum, do you think that would inspire empathy within your peer group and make it a bit more, understanding and I guess comfortable to go to school, and that your voice would be heard if you wanted to speak up, or that your peer group would not even, different ethnicities, not even between other black students, whatever, I'm talking about in general. Do you think that if the curriculum was a bit more upfront about what the facts really are, past and present, that would, facilitate a healthier relationship between the students and the school?
I mean, I think part of the reason that, like, the kind of communication that I think Nara described, the reason that that's happening is because there's no other outlet for that like dialogue. So it manifests itself through like these really hurtful incidents. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know how. And I think Mackenzie brought up this earlier, is that when you try to force kids to discuss things, they don't want to. And so I don't know how one could go about this. But getting kids to discuss these issues in the classroom might make it so that the outlet doesn't have to be like hurtful. And like I think that's kind of like what this is. Like we've been describing so many incidences where these like hurtful things have been happening, but like we haven't really addressed why they're happening. And I think it's because there's no other outlet for this sort of racial dialogue, and yet race is so prevalent in our society, and we never talk about it. So it manifests itself in these incidents. So I think, yeah, if there was some sort of environment where that could be possible somehow, I think that might alleviate the problem.
I agree with Porter, but also I think it could have negative effects because as soon as we start talking about things, they'll become more normal and people will just start talking about them, and then it'll be like a less sensitive topic and people can start more jokes and play around with it more often.
I actually think it'd be a good thing that more people start talking about it, because like even though it does have the risk of it being too comfortable, it is good. It's good for these topics to be comfortable, to be spoken about, that you don't have to feel hesitant to speak about it. And I definitely think that if we incorporated it more in classes, it was, because it's more prevalent, that it would be easier to talk about, and we should definitely include it, because as we were saying, that it's current events that really help shape a classroom.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's more exposure than everyone mesh. I think they blend together well. Like if I'm here and you're there and we're not saying anything to each other, then I can't know what you're thinking and you don't know what I'm thinking. So we're only left to assume what the other person is like.
I think that it's also, like, I agree with Naira and Samari. I think that it's very important that we do talk about it more, because having white people who, I think it's important that they have more exposure to like the Black history and the current Black experience right now. And like this can, talking about this in class and in school is very important, because this can just lead to simple things, like instead of people being scared to say Black people instead of like African American, like it's okay to say Black people. And I find that like a lot of people are very hesitant to say that, and talking about Black experiences in classes can lead to just getting rid of that in general.
She drops the mic. Okay, so we're in the interest of time, we can stay here all night and talk about this, and I can't believe that almost 2 hours have passed by already. But I want to close with something unique. We have, not a question, I was informed, a statement. And I would like to hear what the statement is, because it can lead to the next point of discussion.
I feel that a lot of teachers are not challenging people of color in math and work, so it's not, I don't feel that it's right that they're challenging other kids, but they're not challenging the kids of color.
I need you to state your name and your grade, please.
My name is George Bridgewater, and I'm in second grade.
So based on George's statement, I want to ask the question. As a representative of OSSINING School District and all of the schools that you've come through, do you think you've been challenged at the same level as your peers, academically?
I think that in past years, we haven't really been challenged that much, and now we're starting to really feel it this year. I know I'm in algebra this year, and especially last year, we really just stuck to the curriculum a lot. And now in ninth grade, I've had some trouble with algebra somewhat, and I think that if we had more challenges in previous years, it wouldn't be as much of a struggle this year.
I definitely agree. Like, I feel that if we were challenged younger, because that's when teachers pay more. I feel like they pay more attention because they only have one class. That they do pay more attention sometimes, but if they see you excelling, they don't pay as much attention to you. They won't give you harder work, so you end up sitting there bored and playing games, and then you're poked as being a disruption to the class, and they have your parent come in, and it's not fair. And I feel that I also have trouble sometimes with my math as well, but I feel like if maybe because when I was little the math seemed easier, but maybe if I was challenged more and I wasn't as like having taken a back seat, I would be better and have a better quote unquote test scores, because that's what we're trained to do, to get a good test score.
I think not for every teacher, but the challenge is there, but the help is not. Like they'll say, okay, you're here, this is the class, and you're over here. This is the work, this is what you need to accomplish, and then go do it. It's not like they're going with you like step by step to it. Because I remember like being in math enrichment like 3rd or 4th grade, and they gave everybody the same work, but she didn't talk to me. So I had to figure it out by myself. I had to figure out the same work everyone else is doing, but by myself, like without the help. And if she did give me an explanation, it was like a rushed, like it was a bother to her.
Like in the younger grades, we had like math challenge for the kids that were like excelled in math, and we always had the 2 different classes, so you could take the more advanced math class in middle school or the normal class. But I feel like even though we did have the separation, none of us really, like, I think it really all depends on the teachers, because some of us have done really good because of our teachers and how our things were taught, but a lot of us, not a lot, some of us, have not had a very good job or have had a lot of success because of who our teachers are, especially like my middle school and 9th grade experience. Like my math teachers were not the best. Well, they were good, but the way they taught, like specifically to each student, was not the best.
I agree and disagree. I think that sometimes it depends on the teacher, but I think all teachers do this one thing. They make the students who excel in that area help the students who aren't doing as well. So it takes away the time that you could be spending on more challenging and more advanced things to help with the kids who don't understand.
I find that before high school, before you could go to your teachers for extra help or to just get some extra problems, that the only time that we were challenged academically, the people who were like better at math, was in like elementary school, when like during math time we would go to like Miss Myerson, like a separate class for the people who were better at math than like the people who were like normal or average. Yeah.
So out of the mouth of babes, right? I would like to thank George for that question, comment, statement. And I want to reinforce to our students that the conversation is not ending. This is not the end point of our conversation, it's just beginning. This will not be the last time we're doing this. And it's not the first time either. This is actually our second go round. And I want you to also understand that your statements, your comments, your opinions, your reflections are not falling on deaf ears. We have some very important people in the room. So I'd like to acknowledge our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Raymond Sanchez. Director of Literacy and Learning, Ms. Carrie Seifert. And we actually have the Board of Education Trustee, Mr. Steve Wardwell, sitting here with us. These are the leaders of our district. These people are really in charge of what it is that we teach, how it is that we teach it. And we want to know what the reflection is of the student and how we can make our practice better. So you have some important people here who are hearing what you have to say this evening. Final words, I walk away with two terms, American exceptionalism and the exoticism of ethnicity. I think that those will be two good starting points for our next conversation. I don't want to end yet. I would like for Ms. Forney to close us out with a few thoughts. I have an announcement to make after that, and then I would like to thank each and every one of you individually.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. First, I'd like to ask everybody to give Dr. Reynolds a hand. As Dr. Reynolds stated, last year we had a smaller panel and began this conversation. One of the things that the parents in OPACC have been concerned about is curriculum and how it's represented. And we thought the best way to find out how it's really being received is to talk to you, the students. So I want to thank you very much for sharing with you. I don't know if you noticed, but I was back here typing away on my computer. And what we're going to do with this information is just kind of add it to our conversation. It helps us round out what we're saying about what you're actually experiencing. And I think it's very important as you get older in school. We talked about advocacy. It's the biggest and most loudly your voice can be heard, is being your own advocate, encouraging, bringing the information back to your families so your families can advocate for you. It's very important. So I want you to know that the information you're sharing is important to us. We will be using it, kind of digesting it, and actually taking it back to the district in our conversations about curriculum and about how the educational experience is for our children. So thank you very much.
I would like for everyone to be aware of something that's occurring at Bethesda Baptist Church at 71 Lincoln Avenue in New Rochelle, New York. On November 19th from 6 to 8 p.m., they will be presenting College Advantage for Black students, and this is an opportunity for students and parents to gain knowledge on college opportunities and benefits geared towards Black students. So you get to learn about the college prospects, learn about the admissions process, college preparedness, and this is actually supported and put on by the Zawadi Exchange.